Hey guys, that cherry blossom tree has had flowers for 5 months. It's the weirdest thing. It doesn't know what's going on. Usually it's lost its flowers by winter and it starts to sprout leaves in spring, but it's still got its flowers from autumn. So it doesn't know what's going on. And you can see what's happening with the weather. The last few videos we made in here, it was freezing cold and then it was warm. So it's back to 16 degrees again today. So spring's like this in Japan. It was super cold and then it'll be warm and super cold. So 16 degrees outside at the moment. Very nice. So this is a video for our buying a house in Japan playlist. So it's probably only of interest to one person who actually wants to buy a house in Japan. However, it might be a Japanese cultural thing. It's just another thing that we've seen. So this has presented itself recently because one of our in-laws is actually trying to buy a house and we've been trying to help them. And it's just striking how lazy the real estate agents in Japan are. It's just amazing. When we bought this place, we had to look for about 6 months and we made videos about it at the time. The start of the Buying a House in Japan playlist is a series of videos of different houses that we looked at. And we had to do all the legwork. So we were driving around the town looking for some place, right? And we'd find a place with a sign on it, and we'd call up the real estate agent. And in honesty, my wife would call up the real estate agent because she's much better. It's not just a Japanese thing, it's a patience thing and a politeness thing. She's just much better at doing that. So she'd call up the real estate agent and say, we're looking at this house, it's at this place. And then usually what they'd do is they'd fax, believe it or not. Some of you young people might never have seen a fax machine. Fax machine is this weird device that connects to the phone line and you can send a copy of a piece of paper from one place to another. It's a fax machine. Google it. There might be some old photos. We still use them in Japan. We have a fax machine. So what we'd do is we'd call them and we'd say, we're looking at this place at, outside or near this cross street, because they don't have street numbers. They just have cross streets and things. So we'd say, okay, we're near this cross street. There's this house here with your sign on it, and eventually it'd take a long time. This is why my wife does it, because they're a long time to finally understand which one it is. And then they'd fax us a sheet that had the price, the size of the land, how much land you could use to build a house, what percent of the land was allowed to be used to build a house, just all the details about the place. And that was it. And if we were interested in it, we'd ask them if we could see inside, and sometimes they'd come meet us and have a look inside, or sometimes they'd just say, oh, you can have a look around. And then it was really hard to get them to do anything. And they just weren't interested. And if the place was too expensive or we had a look around and decided we weren't interested, we'd say to them, we'd call them back and say, we're not really interested in this one, but we're really interested in buying a house. So if you can send us, if you've got any others, if you could send us the information, that'd be great. And occasionally they'd send us a fax, but we just always had to keep asking. It was almost like they just weren't interested. We just got this distinct feeling that they weren't interested. And consistently like that, and we're just constantly out looking, and not once did any of them say, hey, come see us and we'll take you around and show you something. Not once, which is what you'd normally get in another country, right? In another country, it's quite possible that if you told a real estate agent you want to buy a house, they'd be at your side continually until you bought one, wouldn't they? Driving you around and showing you houses. They just weren't interested. They just send us these faxes and we go and have a look at them ourselves. And eventually, when we found this one, we decided that, yeah, this is good. We went out the back and looked at all the buildings. And, this is good, this one. My wife wasn't so convinced. She was like, those of you who saw the original videos from this place, she was a bit, but I could see the potential. And so we contacted the agent and said, yeah, we're interested in this one, and made an offer. And they don't usually like to negotiate much here. The agents don't like negotiating either. They don't want to know. They just want you to pay the listed price. And eventually we did. There was actually it was an inheritance. So 3 people had inherited the house, and apparently they were fighting with each other, and so they couldn't reach agreement on anything. So the only way we got to buy the house was by paying the listed price that they actually wanted. So But the point of that is how uninterested all the agents, and we talked to a lot of them because every time we saw a sign with a house, we'd call the agent. So I've got no idea how many agents we spoke to. It'd be somewhere between 6 or 7 and 12. A lot of agents, and not one of them showed us any enthusiasm at all. And often when I talk about things like this, often someone will say in the comments, "Oh, do you think that's because you're a foreigner?" And I think that's a natural reaction from non-Japanese people in Japan. If they get some bad service or bad treatment or something that doesn't seem quite right, they'll assume, is it because I'm a foreigner? And that's a natural reaction, And I can tell you it's not, for a whole heap of reasons. One is the experience that we've been having this week. This in-law of ours wants to buy a new house, and so we've been helping him. We've been sort of looking around and helping him and contacting agents, and it's been exactly the same experience. And this time, I'm having very little to do with it. So he's Japanese, of course. That's my brother-in-law. So he contacts the agents himself, or my wife contacts the agent. So there's nobody knows that there's a foreigner in the circle, right? And they're getting exactly the same treatment that we got when we're looking for this place. Just really unimpressed. That they'll make as a minimum. If you say the cheapest house out here in the countryside would be about, for a new house, you could get one for Sansenman, so 30 million yen. So that's about, at the moment, that's about 200,000 American dollars. 200,000 American dollars, and that'd be the cheapest you get here. And for that, the commission would be about $10,000. And the buying agent, so the buyer has to have an agent and the seller has an agent, usually, this is how it works, and they both get paid $10,000. So it's just amazing, the amount of money these guys make, for very little work, very little work. All they do is, they've got all those forms, all the contracts, and it's just filling in the blanks, basically. So they fill in all the blanks, tick the boxes, they've got to fill out a few different forms for a few different things, they've got to get documents from the city hall for the tax, city tax, land tax and things like that. So it's just paperwork. I would imagine a day would be just about enough to do all of it, to make $10,000. So you'd think they'd be enthusiastic, but they're just not. They're just not, and it's been exactly the same situation with this, is that if you find the place with the sign, you call them up, you say, look, a little bit different with the new houses, they will come and show you through the new house, but just not interested. They're just not interested. It's just amazing. They want it as easy as possible. I have a good connection here with a guy who's an accountant who's connected with a number of real estate agents because of his work, and I was talking to him about it, and he said, yeah, they just want to make money. They just want to make easy money. That's all they're interested in, and that's the impression we get from all of them. We haven't met one yet. In the time that we were looking for one, we didn't meet one yet that we were impressed by, and the same with this experience with the in-laws. There hasn't been one of them that I thought, oh, that person's helpful. Not one, which is amazing, isn't it? Because Japan's famous for its good service, but not in the real estate industry, apparently. Further to that, I know, I've got to be really careful here not to name anybody, but there's someone I know who operates a website in Japan that specialises in real estate. And so he deals with lots of real estate people, right, all over Japan. And I sent him an email and I said to him, what's the deal with the real estate agents? I'm getting the impression that they're just really lazy and they just want easy money. And he said, that's what it is. He sent back an email and said, yeah, that's what it is. They're just lazy. They're just lazy. They just want easy money and they're just lazy. And that's all he does, is deal with real estate agents. And that's his impression of them. They're just lazy. They want easy money. It's incredible. And so you might have seen a couple of weeks ago, I sent that, I did a video about that castle that was for sale, the fake castle that was for sale in Hokkaido. And before I released that video, I sent that real estate agent an email and said, I'm about to release a video about this castle. Would you like me to put the link to your website in the comments so that if someone's interested, they can contact you? Because, I thought could be someone out there want to buy it. If not, someone else is interested in buying real estate in Hokkaido, So either way, you could end up with a customer. Now, this was an English-friendly real estate company. So they had their website in English, and it was all very English-friendly, and I suspect the guy was actually a foreigner. And I sent him an email and said to him, do you want me to put your link on the website? He never answered. Never answered, do you want me to put your website link on the video? Just didn't even bother to answer. Well, I couldn't believe that. We're offering him, free promotion, basically, And some people would have gone to his website for sure just to see what he had for sale. Just not interested. So the reason for this video, it's not just therapy for me, but it's the reason for this video is I kept thinking, while I was thinking about this, I kept thinking that I knew for sure if I just described the first part of this story about our experience of looking for a house, I know someone would have said in the comments, is that because you're a foreigner? Because we always get that. People assume whenever they hear a story with slightly bad service or something that's a little bit surprising, they'll often say, is that because you're a foreigner? Did they do that because you're a foreigner? And I know that's usually the reaction. So today in particular, when we were talking about this real estate thing, I thought, no, it's not. It's got nothing to do with me this time, with the in-laws. Those real estate people have no idea that there's a foreigner in that circle. All I've been doing is driving around. They seem to have a bit of respect for my opinion on stuff, so sometimes they'll ask me my opinion, and I've been driving around looking at things with them, but the agents didn't know anything about me, so oblivious. And then our guy, I almost said the name, man, our guy that deals with all the real estate agents, he said the same thing. It's just what they are. They're lazy. They just want easy money. So the reason for this video is, if you are buying a house in Japan and this is your experience, that you're trying to buy a house and the real estate agents just aren't interested, don't take it to heart, don't take it personally. This is the way they treat everybody. It's not just because you're a foreigner. I did have the same experience when I was trying to rent. Actually, they might have been marginally more enthusiastic when I was trying to rent. When I first tried to rent a place in Japan, they did actually drive me around. A couple of them drove me around and showed me different places. So I actually had a different problem then. They were showing me all the dives that the Japanese people didn't want to rent. Terrible. Really horrible. The worst one was an apartment above a bunch of shops, and it was just stinky and horrible and smoky, and all the rubbish, all the bad smells and everything from the shops and restaurants all seemed to end up in this apartment. It was just absolutely disgusting. And they showed me a bunch like that I was just like, I'm not living here. Thanks very much. But they had more enthusiasm though about showing me around, whereas, trying to buy, you'd think if someone was going to make $10,000, they'd have a bit more enthusiasm, but they just don't. So it's possible the people watching, there are a few people who watch our videos who live in Japan who've bought property here, who bought an old house or something, and they live here. It's possible one of those guys will tell us a more positive experience. It's possible. But I haven't had one. In the experience of us looking for this place and the experience of these in-laws looking for one, and what our friend tells us who deals with the real estate agents all the time, and the guy that was selling the fake castle, there was no enthusiasm from him at all. Didn't even have the decency to answer the email. That's really common in Japan. That's happened. That happened to us when we were looking for the house too. There were places where we call and leave a message, and they'd never call us back. I think we sent some emails too that didn't get answered. So it's amazingly, it's surprising. It's surprising, isn't it? In a country where the service is normally really good, and when in an industry where people are going to make really good money, you'd expect a bit more enthusiasm, wouldn't you? So it was surprising for me the first time. It's been surprising for me this week. Baffling would be a fair word. It's like, why aren't they interested in making money? They're just lazy. So anyway, the purpose of this video is, if you experience this in Japan, don't take it personally. It's not because you're a foreigner. It's just because real estate agents in Japan seem to be very lazy. Sure to be exceptions. Every topic we've ever covered, no doubt there's been an exception to every topic we've ever covered, including this one. So there's bound to be exceptions. There's bound to be people out there who've had positive experiences buying real estate in Japan with good service and, good real estate agents. Possible. If there is, we'd like to hear about it because we haven't seen it. Anyway, that's just a heads up video for our Buying a House in Japan playlist. If you haven't seen that playlist yet, you might have a look. There's some interesting stuff on there, including a whole series of videos about renovating this old joint. More videos coming soon.